What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 20, I want to say 4 of my Total War Warhammer 3 Malakai Makaisson Immortal Empires campaign. So as we saw last time, Snorri Granite Hand has defeated Sigvold one last time. His last stand at the Frozen City ended in failure, though he did give us a good show. Now Snorri and I suppose Sturchill alike are turning towards Valkia's territories, who number in, well, 8. They are mostly here, but I guess there's a fortress back here, which is probably the, capital of Valkia, and I guess that might be where her army is. She's currently at war with Nagarond. I guess they're kind of being crushed between, let's see, who are they being crushed by? Kind of unclear, wait. Who are you at war with? Nagaroth. Oh, right. All right. So Nagaroth is probably pressuring them from the other side as well. They're not doing all that great. Settlements 11, strength rank 19. It's decent, but Nagarond usually gets stronger. Anyway, I guess that's what they get for wiping Grumbrindle's faction out. In terms of what we got to do this time, we still have all of this pile of undead nonsense to consider, and I guess we're going to have to just try and go for it. 2 armies here, and then 2 more afterwards. I think... Okay, wait. Just in case... Okay, let's take a high-level lord. Let's say Kurgan Ranulfson here. Recruit. Oh, yeah, look at that. Oh, the cost, the terrible cost. Per turn, I mean, the supply line cost. We still need to reset this guy, that's the thing. And we will reset him after we use him to recruit some stuff. You can go to Allied Recruitment, and then from the Ice Court acquire us 2 more Frostworms that we will want for this particular army. In addition to that, while we're here, we want 2 more Thunderers with Grudge Rakers and start building the regular Thunderers as well, because, well, we may as well start ferrying those Thunderers over to our Thunderer army, which has been waiting for them, let's say, for long enough now. We'll probably also want an Engineer there, but this guy can join it. Might actually, if it's all Thunderers, we might actually want 3 Engineers in this particular army. Do we have any other good in... Ooh, there's another conventional one. And a Grimnir one. I also wanted another engineer potentially for Belagar as well, but let's do the Grimnir one here. We're gonna cost a lot of money. Grimnir one here, and then we'll do the conventional one out here. I have a plan for these guys. I want an army with like a million goblin hewers, just because it'll be amusing. And then I want to try Vanguard deploying them right in front of the enemy's army's face, and then see how all that works out. Next up, yeah, we're certainly using a lot of engineers, but what can you do? The next up, what we'll want to do is take Callan Deepbrow's army and move him into Nagenhof, like so, and obviously auto-resolve it. Occupy it. Auto-resolve and occupy. And then we'll want to delete the Ulthar's Raiders. They might go into Belagar's army, or I might put them in a Rangers with Great Weapon army. I'm not sure, but they're not needed right now in this army, that's for sure. And we will also want to delete 2 of the other Goblin Hewers. I just thought of an issue, a potential issue anyway. I mean, you know what, if we need to rebuild the Goblin Hewers, we can rebuild them after. Delete 1. We can recruit them at rank 7 at the current time, so I think that's fine. We want to start getting land ships in this army, as this was planned to be the run-and-gun army, and land ships take a long time to recruit. So let's start with 2, and then we'll see. The rest of this should probably be replaced by Slayer parts, maybe a couple of aerial units, just because they work well with the run-and-gun idea, especially if in an emergency we need to drop bombs upon the enemy, and I did want to get them going in that manner. We also still have to build our all-flying army, but, well, that can wait for now, especially since we know how it's going to go, and it's going to be ludicrously powerful anyway. There's no escaping that. Anyway, that was all a distraction. We need to jump on this. King Lun, I think since you've been fighting the Empires for so long, the Vampires rather, we're going to give you the Crimson Gemstone as a reward. You can have the Hunger and Dark Protection. Feels appropriate for what's been going on here. I am not sure we have much in the way of enchanted items. Well, this might be one of the situations where the Crown of Command could come in handy, simply because units are likely to rout. Well, keep the Crown of Command for now. We'll probably delete both of these and turn them into a blue item, but just not now. Then what we'll want to do is take out the Stonemason and give you the Master Rune of Groth One Eye. Not so much for the leadership, but for the discouraged effect, which is quite a nice thing to have against vamps. So Master Rune of Groth One Eye, like so. And should we... let me just go here. Forge, character runes... Rune of Dismay, where are you? I remember you. You should add a leadership reduction that we may want to stack. Is that not a... Yeah, it might be one of these runes. Let me just see here. Rune of Dismay. Rune of Dismay. Alright, Master Rune of Grungni. Oh, not useful against the vamps, but decent in concept. You 300. It's not so bad. And... oh, you cause terror... Oh, you cause the speed reduction, not leadership reduction. Okay, fine. We'll combine that later with the Gatekeeper's Hammers, with that chilling aura, which is quite nice, but it won't work for what I wanted them for in this particular situation. But that's fine. We probably want to save the Oath Gold anyway, because we're going to need to spend like 3,000, 4,000 if we count large shell production, heavy plate armor, very shortly. Alright, let's level you up, and let's send you in. Did I give you the rune? Yes, I did. Alright, skills. Rally for you. Oh, we were just so close to getting the other point, but I feel like we can't risk going to attack this guy. Oh well, not a big deal. Deadly Onslaught, and do we get Resolute now? Let's get Resolute. Why not? Do I authority enemy action him? Yeah, no, it's not useful. It's not useful to us, at least not at the current time. Blade Shield and Woundmaker for you, sir. And then the last thing, the new guy, Fell-Handed Warrior, Unfaltering, and so close to Revered Thane. Oh well. A little bit short. Aaron Smith, what about you? You have 1 point, and we're going to get you a Runic Imbuement to get that additional magical damage. On towards Rune Master, but the magical damage should help us here. Now, can King Lun's army and King Lun's Hurt army take 2 of these armies at once? I guess we're about to find out. Pyrrhic Victory this time around. Master Rune of Groth One Eye. I guess that's another rune for one of our infantry units. We'll just need to be careful and remember which unit this is on. 1 second. I'm just wondering whether it might be better to put it on the... well, no, it's got that cause terror thing, which these guys already do, the Frost Rims already do, and thus we'll probably want to keep it as it is. Alright. I am, let's say, concerned about the number of Terrorgeists here, but I'm also quite concerned about the Mortis Engines and the Vargulfs. These are 2 really strong armies. Well, give it a shot, King Lun. I guess we can back off if needed.
We will have vengeance!
Alrighty, we will have vengeance, I hope. I really, really hope. I don't know if this was a good idea or a bad idea. We're going to find out. It's gonna be tough. It's going to be concerning. I mean, one of these armies is already super elite, and certainly on par with our army if we're not careful. 2 of these armies is a tall order, and on top of that, we remain damaged, and the enemy is very much not. 5 Terrorgeists, 4 Vargulfs, 3 Mortis Engines, 3 Black Coaches, 4 Hex Rates, and a random assortment of other units like Vargeists, Crypt Horrors, Graveguard, Black Knights, etc., etc., etc. But yeah, and just a ludicrous amount of expense tied up in the enemy army. Let's see if the Hammers can hold. I'm certainly willing to sacrifice at least a couple units here if necessary, but yeah, these armies do need to be brought down, and King Lun needs to cement his legacy of completing this legendary grudge effectively on his own, again, if he manages chooses to do it. Anyway, I'm going to speed this up a little bit while the enemy moves on towards us, and here comes the enemy Vampire Lord, who will take a few hits from our Troll Hammers before touching down and apparently attacking our Thane here. That's alright, we'll move some Hammerers and the Frostworm to continue keeping the damage up, though it looks like the enemy's fast movers are willing to, well, fastly move, quickly move fast, whatever, and reinforce the enemy Lord. Fortunately, the Black Knights are in first, and either they don't have enough mass to charge or knock back the Hammerers, or simply they didn't have the speed built up. And, ooh, it looks like all of the Mortis engines... Okay, yeah, this is not good. The not good aspect of this is that the Mortis engines are going into the biggest blob, meaning everybody will be healing. We need to absolutely make sure that our Iron Drakes are able to continue firing rather than being bogged down by the enemy flyers, and bring down those Mortis engines. There's still two, and they'll still be healing each other. Keep on firing. Keep on firing, and it looks like we are going to start getting overrun very quickly. One of the black coaches moves through our lines. Our dwarf warriors are probably going to get destroyed very quickly, but they are out there for a reason, to take charges from the enemy and prevent the charges hurting our units of hammerers. Alright, well, brave last stand for the Dwarf Warriors, but certainly a necessary one. The enemy Mortis engines are still alive as well. Well, okay, alive is a strong word, but they're still together. They're in one piece. Let's go with that. Just gotta keep firing our range units. Hammerers are working on the Terrorgeist and the Black Coach, and whatever other units have moved out to try to stop our range units from firing. It looks like some of the enemy Cav have also managed to move around our right flank and are looking to hit our Iron Drakes just as they back off from the enemy Terrorgeist. Once again, we have to react to that, so Hammerers are going to move forward to try to rip those Blood Knights apart, while the rest of our line continues to hold. That said, our Hammerers are starting to take massive amounts of damage. These guys are down to about 20% of their HP. We've got 30% HP here. The Dwarf Warriors have collapsed in the main line. Another unit of Hammerers is basically destroyed over on the leftmost flank, and King Lun continues to hold against the Vampire Lord and this massive pile of units. We deployed here specifically, however, so that the enemy would do this and would get bogged down around the terrain. Gotta use the terrain to your advantage after all. The other option would have been to make use of the trees, which would have given a disadvantage to the enemy big units, the large entities. However, the trees would have also given a disadvantage to our range units, and we really need them to bring those darn healing Mortis engines down. Speaking of, it looks like the enemy's down to one Mortis engine. The Thunderers have switched fire to some of the big units because the enemy has so many of them. And I mean big monsters, not Mortis engines, because Mortis engines are also big units. While another one of our Troll Hammers begins to focus down the enemy Lord, the enemy Master Necromancer, up in the air. Balance of power remains very much in the enemy's favor, as our Hammerers are starting to look like they're going to break. Just going to have to move in the reinforcing units of Hammerers that were previously shielding our range units, and hope that that's enough. The Master and Necromancer gets knocked out of the sky by our Troll Hammers, and we need to switch back to this Mortis engine and bring it down at last. Some point-blank shots into the Vargulf as the remnants of the Hammerers hold it back, but it looks like some of our Hammerers are beginning to rout as well. And just got to keep holding. Damn. Alright, balance of power moves up a little bit, another maybe 5% in our favor, but the balance of power does still remain in the enemy's favor. But the main line is still holding. We won't win the attrition war as long as the enemy keeps healing. Those Mortis Engine, Heroes, Lords, they all need to go immediately. And down goes that Mortis Engine, with the Necromancer having fallen as well, and King Lun finally having defeated the enemy Lord. They are very limited in what healing remains. There is a Corpse Cart with Unholy Lodestone on the rightmost flank, but we are attempting to focus it down with one of our units of Thunderers, mostly because the Hammerers are a bit busy trying to survive. Still great work from our two units of Frostworms. Really can't wait until we have 4 of them in this army, as they're really helping and anchoring the line. And another thing they're doing, and the ice hammerers are helping out with as well, is that they were able to keep the enemy cavalry frozen or frostbitten, which was enabling us to slow them down enough so that when they tried to cycle charge, we had a little bit more time to respond, which really helps out because we really needed our range units here as well. Anyway, with that, though a Pyrrhic victory, we do manage to hold the enemy back. Now, how much damage did we take here? It really does depend on how many models were lost as opposed to how much HP our units took, and will we still be viable to hold back the rest of the nearby armies? Let's find out. Oh, once again, King Lun manages to hold back the tide of the dead, though very close this time around. We took a ton of damage on most of our hammers and got ourselves a Pyrrhic victory, and several enemy armies do still remain for us to work through. And it's certainly getting dangerous, but the deeds of King Lun here are certainly worthy of song. It's making me think we need to keep him or modify him in some way. I wonder. Maybe we replace his name, maybe replace the Lun aspect of his name, as in it is another Iron Hammer, but not King Lun because he already exists in the lore, but we could have some distant cousin of King Lun. Just gotta replace that first name with something else, and then we can keep the lord, because after all this, I've grown very attached to the idea and the army here. And I even kind of like the idea of him having some kind of dark artifact, maybe, that he had to turn to hold back the tide of the dead, as it was the only way to keep his oath. Alright, well, anyway, definitely gonna have to consider the first name replacement, but we'll have to attract replacements once again. These guys will back off.
This is impudence.
We are still able to move, though I fear... Well, okay, we can't fight... Wait, can we reach this army? We can reach this army and destroy it for good. These armies would move forward, or we could try this army, but without healing, that might be a little bit iffy. Stonemason, enemy killed in battle, more student, great, great, great. Let's also get... Where are we here? Honored by Grimnir, giving us physical resistance, weapon strength, and melee attack for those hammers. Keep pumping those hammerers up. And I suppose out of all this... I mean, obviously we'll get stand your ground, but and to think of what else. I mean, since we already went through Tactician, we may want to go through Morgrim's Favor, though honestly now, these Iron Drakes have been with us so long, and they've been so helpful in these battles. But then we lack a long-range option for this army, so I'm not entirely sure. I suppose if I don't like it, we could always just reset the skill points. In theory. For now, I guess just make him a stronger fighter, so let's get you hard to hit, sir. He certainly held back the tide admirably. Now, the Thanes, who also helped hold back the tide, admittedly. Let's get you Woundmaker, sir. You can have a Deadly Onslaught into Woundmaker as well. And then you, the new guy, finally get that Revered Thane. And more Blade Shield. Alright, then the Runesmith. We got 3 points available to us. Not quite enough to get to Rune Master, but alright. Stubborn Mastery gives us spell resistance, magic item drop chance, ambush defense, cooldown for rune abilities, and then into Rune Master afterwards. Okie dokie. Is it a bad idea? There would only be one army left. The thing is, we do have to destroy these armies. On the other hand... This army is also here and also has to be destroyed, admittedly, and we can still reach it, and we would still be in our own territory should we do so. I guess another question is, can we risk auto-resolving? You know what, I don't think we can. I don't know how much damage we'd take if we tried, so we're going to manually fight this over here real quick. Can't risk the auto-resolve. The potential for our frostworms being damaged, the single entities being damaged, is too high, and if these guys were to get so badly hurt that they wouldn't be able to fight, it would be bad, as there are 2 full stacks still to deal with the damage that we've taken. Now, there is also the concern that the remaining armies will stick together, which ain't so great. Okay, wait, we need to sort of... Man, gonna be a little bit unfortunate to lose the formation that we currently have, but I don't see much of a choice in the matter. You guys up front, you move back because you're damaged. You guys will move back here, like so. Protect the hurt units, essentially. And you two can be replaced by this relatively unhurt unit. Dwarf warriors... Okay, now put this thing out here. Dwarf warriors, stay here, but try not to interfere with the whole situation. Anyway. Go here, start battle. They're not going to move towards us? Okay, we'll move towards them. And... Oh, wow, Gaze of Nagash. I was not expecting that, admittedly. Not so great. Alright, but they are moving now. You move towards the Black Knights, you move towards the other unit. Take these guys out. The rest of you move forward slightly. Let's summon up those gyrocopters on top of here. Drop some bombs and then move out on our way. Alright, gyrocopters, bombs away, and bombs away again. I don't really care whether those hit. I do care about you going after that Vampire Lord. Rest of you, knock him out, or at the very least damage him. He's going to land on the Thane. That's fine. You all move to kill him and let the enemy charge. That's fine as well. Alright. We'll switch our Iron Drakes now to firing upon you and you. And the battle should be just about ours. Alright, everybody else fine? Don't need to drop any runes. You are maintaining HP, which is fine. Cairn rates are done. You need to knock out this Vargolf here. And we can speed it up now. Good. Yeah, 2 losses. Certainly preserved the these guys to some degree, though I was not expecting that Gaze of Nagash, admittedly, mostly because I never used the spell myself. But good job to the AI, I guess. One of those rare situations where it's beneficial to some degree to cast it. Although I still probably would have spammed Invocation of the Heck to get that army up and running. We are obviously going to have to attract replacements as we usually do, and then sit here, heal up as best we can, and then face off what remains. We're really curious to see whether these guys, with the remnants of their armies, are able to continue recruitment or not. I'm also considering, let's see, we don't have a lot of money. And we could spend a little bit of it to get more Thunderers and so... Oh, damn, it's going to take 2 turns? Oh, I realized something. You go here. Oh, wow, we heal a lot less here. Yeah, okay, now. Damn. The local recruitment capacity. Damn, well that's a shame, but since we heal a lot more in the Great Skull Lakes than we do in the Silver Pinnacle, for... it's due to the presence of the goat herds and the granary, I guess, granaries, I should say. Well, fine. We gotta make use of it. You got another point, sir? Get another point in hard to hit then. And keep doing what you're doing. Yeah, this entire idea will depend on whether these guys can get a full stack up and running or whether they're damaged for good in the way that they are. We'll see. Anyway, let's get everybody else moving then. Stochel, you cannot reach Kawark, so I guess what you're going to do is sort of move out here into an camp. And then sit out here. You're gonna have to globally recruit some flame cannons. I was really banking on eventually getting some Grudge Settler flame cannons, but unfortunately they're at tier 5. They're at the max tier, 100%, which is not feasible. It's just not possible at 41,700 grudges per Age of Reckoning. Not possible. So, the only way that we'd be able to get those is either to ferry them over, as we do have some available to us via several of our other lords, or whether we can... well, actually, no, that's the only way. Or we just use the regular ones. Anyway, Ingram, go into... Ooh, hello. There's an army here. Go into ambush. See if we can't ambush this guy. Actually, not entirely sure whether the ambush would be the best idea, but it might be a decent one. Let's give it a shot. certainly still willing to fight this. Cobalt, you were in ambush already, but we can head you down to the Great Maw, or the Maw Gate, rather, instead. I would like to join this engineer into your army, but we can't do that this turn, so we'll just take the Maw Gate. And auto-resolve it. With a relatively minimal damage and occupy it. Nice. And I guess we'll immediately upgrade to the next tier, because it's, let's say, reasonably cheap. Alrighty, who is up next? Zamnil Rocky Breaker. Ah, yes, you guys. Oh, you finished your war drum. Well, that's just lovely. Alrighty, then... You don't want to get attacked by these guys. Alright, go, let's say, here. And delete one of your rangers. And take the war drum. Why am I deleting the ranger? Because... Actually, I don't know why. I mean, I guess we could have put them in this army, but they wouldn't have been transferred to another army anyway, so... take the war drum. Then you stay... Oh. Okay. Back away as much as possible. I'm hoping that the rats can't reach you here. I'm not 100% on it. Huh. What if we put you into ambush as well? What's the likelihood that both ambushes get foiled? Well, no, that's a bad idea. Because we're trying to use you to bait these armies. I don't know if it'll work, but... There is another option. And the other option would be to take Miragliano with these armies, then sail out from Miragliano to Tobaro, and then attack from Tobaro instead. That might allow us to draw closer with both of these armies. If you're wondering why I don't just approach both these armies, here's the thing. They can't both approach because of the blighted marshes preventing our movement. The issue that gives us is that if we set up here, and our ambush is foiled, the enemy will use ambush stance to kill off this army, and then Belegar will be left alone. Granted, Belegar can survive an ambush against one of the enemy armies, but losing this army would mean being unable to take Skavenblight. We're in a deadlock until we can trick one of these armies out of here and then destroy it, and thereafter attack Skavenblight. So we'll keep on trying it this way. Burundin, you are going to Beckhofen, which should complete the destruction of Draika's faction, the Wargrove of Woe. And occupy. There we go. Wargrove of Woe gone. Ostermark is now ours. We'll empower the guilds for now, and we will, in fact, build the place up. Because we are going to make use of it. Well, we're going to trade it. So I guess build the sparring chambers for now. I'm almost tempted to build the money-making buildings temporarily, just so that we can get money-making buildings here before we trade them, but I suppose we might be able to start trading them reasonably quick. Because I'd really like to get Fort Oberstar and Schwarzhofen. Since we have these provinces, let's say, nearly complete, we may as well complete them. Anyway, Belegar is now, well, good-ish. And Ragni Doomtamer, you are still headed towards Mr. Ungrim to provide him with some armor buffs. Constructor Groth and Constructor Ulek are fine where they are, and that's it for this turn. And we've no money remaining, either. So I guess that leaves global recruitment out, don't it? Alright, well, that's fine. Gotta make sure that we have the correct number of Thunderers being recruited. So assuming that we keep maybe 3 cannons, we'll need 2 Thunderers with Grudge Rakers, 2 Engineers, and then 3 regular Thunderers. Or 4 if we remove one of the cannons. Assuming we get 2 Engineers, of course. 3 regular Thunderers feels a little light. I'll think about it. We'll build 4, and then I'll consider whether cannon or thunderer. I'm still inclined to say the cannon is probably going to be more value, just because of the range that it provides the army, and the chase, because the army wouldn't be able to chase anything. So, cannon firing into the enemy's back as they run will be the only option available to us in that matter. Let's quick deal just in case. I don't think there's anything here, and in fact, there is not. We have 2 turns until the Retainer's Vows are completed, and we can continue our research. Let's end the turn, and let's see if either of our ambushes works out, and what these guys are gonna do. Go. Alright, King Lun. And why the heck is it... game? It's kind of like very, very laggily zooming out. What are you doing? Maybe I started zooming out like I hit the scroll wheel just as I ended the turn. It's a possibility. Anyway, Balthy, you want us to join Morgan's Clanish? And no. Did I ever build a... I don't think I ever built an outpost with him. And okay, the ambush failed, and he's going to attack us, but that kind of works. It's everything Ungrim wanted. We're definitely fighting it. Go. Alrighty, here we go again. If the one tide was not enough, we face another in the form of the greenskins. At Ungrim, while he himself is extremely strong, his army is, well, it still hasn't been retrofitted. We're still using the basic tier 2 slayers, and the basic slayers are kind of meh, and they're not particularly strong units even under Ungrim, so we're gonna have to be a little bit careful here. On top of that, it looks like the enemy will wait for their reinforcements to arrive, and since we had to deploy here to take the biggest advantage we could of the terrain, it does mean that we weren't able to bombard the enemy as soon as they were on the field. Which is potentially dangerous. On the bright side, though, this position is fairly good. The enemy only has one way up through the left flank, and they have to go through trees to do it, so we can hopefully block off the enemy with the slayers here. We have also hidden, let's say, 80% of our slayers, maybe 75%, I don't know, of our slayers in the trees here, just because I was a little bit worried about the enemy hitting them with their rock lobbers, of which they had 3. They are down to 2, I believe. One we were able to effectively destroy with our summoned units of gyrocopters. The other one we took about half HP off, but unfortunately the gyrocopters ran out of time before the rock lobbers were destroyed. This means that the cannons will have to work on them instead. Anyway, keep it sped up for at least a minute or so. Just gotta allow the enemy to move their way forward a teensy bit, and for our cannons to start firing. Come on now. And a little bit closer. A little bit more. Nearly there. And I thought I saw one of the cannon shots go. Oh, it was probably against one of these guys. There we go. Finally, and they are in range. Though it looks like it's not the monsters that will start in range, but the biggins and the black orcs. Though it's probably a good idea to bring down as many of the black orcs as possible. Unlike the giant slayers and the doomseekers, the regular slayers lack armor piercing, so the black orcs will be very much a problem for them if they manage to close the distance. I suppose we could probably kill off a few of them with Ungrim in the same way that Grimgor was able to kill off the Norgrimling's Ironbreakers without too much trouble. But Ungrim can only be in so many places at once, and this is not the only unit of Black Orcs on the field. Cannons will keep firing at them, and it looks like the enemy is sort of taking formation, taking their positions, until they can move on in. Kind of like how the Arachnaroks are at the center, though they should probably spread them out a little bit. Well, I mean, the argument can be made that keeping them together is also decent. It really depends on what they're facing, of course. Against certain units, the big blobs of spider essentially protecting each other by allowing less units to hit them at the same time can be a good thing, at least against piles of melee, where range is concerned a little bit less so. Anyway. Looks like, is the enemy ready to move yet? Okay, we can continue bombardment a little bit, and ooh, the Hammer of Gork Goblin Rocklobber has now moved close. Though we'll be knocking out as many of them as possible, as quick as we can. Alright, come on cannons, let's see that dwarfen accuracy that you're so famed for. You're supposed to be more accurate than Imperial guns after all. Bring down those rock lobbers, don't let them kill off our slayers. Certainly a slayer that dies by being hit by a random rock from a gobbo. Not something that they might want to tell the ancestors about. But anyway, it looks like the Hammer of Gork is out. There is one more unit of rock lobbers moving in, though the game did bug out in that the banner from the rock lobbers stays back here. Looks like it's on this unit that, I don't know, something happened to it when the... something happened to it when the, whatchamacallums, the summon gyrocopters and knock them around. The problem there is that since the banner is over there, it looks to me when I'm playing this that the rock lobbers aren't in range, and it was a little bit before I noticed these guys. I did at this point, I believe, but decided that it was a better idea to continue firing on the enemy trolls and Ragnaroks, as it is going to be very tough to bring them down, even with the piles of slayers. So, you gotta do what you gotta do. And we do have the Goblin Hewers for them as well, but, well, the problem with the Goblin Hewers is that by the time the enemy's in range with something like an Ragnarok, it's going to reach your lines, even if it does get brought down by the Goblin Hewers relatively quick, whereas the cannons can bring them down before they get there. At the very least in sufficient numbers. It's not like we have a crazy amount of cannons here. Anyway, the enemy army, rock lobbers continuing to fire upon us. Enemy army is starting to get ready to move towards us, and Ungrim is sort of shadowing the big spiders. Spider will move in, and Ungrim will hold one back and allow our cannons to hopefully continue firing, and same with the goblin hewers as well. Finally doing what they're supposed to do, and hewing the goblins up on top of the howdahs on those spiders. And there we go. The axes fly. First of the spiders goes down. Ungrim holds back the second, which has dropped down to about half HP and is being focused down by cannons and by goblin hewers alike. Keep on firing. Ragnaroks are the first order of the day. The second one has fallen, and now on to the third, which is down to about half HP. Goblin hewers and slayers focusing it alike, and it looks like the third one will fall as well. Very nice. Now it's time for a little bit of melee action. We get that fiery ring of Snorri something going through the enemy line to do a little bit of magical damage, though it looks like the slayers on the leftmost flank have nearly been destroyed by a combination of goblins and orc biggins. They're down to the dregs here. They have met their doom, but well, it's what they wanted after all. Unfortunately, over here, unexpectedly, the boar boys actually managed to sort of charge through, ignoring the slayers and moving through them to get to the back of our line. I wasn't expecting that, or at least I wasn't expecting that they were capable of doing it, but great job to the AI. Insofar as they took advantage of the ability to do so. Looks like the Black Orcs are also trying to attempt the same thing, pushing through our lines to try to get at our cannons and prevent them from firing. Getting a little bit more cannon fire now out on those rock lobbers just to prevent them from continuing destroying our range units. And the enemy range is working overtime as well, as the goblins, rock lobbers, spider riders, or caribous, whatever they have, are focusing down our units of goblin hewers, and pretty darn effectively, I might add. Two of the goblin hewers have pretty much been destroyed, down to about 10% of their HP, and just as if that wasn't enough, we'll take a hit from the boar boys charging them in the back. Black Orcs have finally been stopped by the piles of regular slayers in the center line, and we are still holding back the tide of orcs, though it looks like it's finally started to turn in our favor, though this is definitely going to be a Pyrrhic victory. Look at the damage on these guys. Like 10% HP. The Doom Seekers are basically dead. I think these guys got really focused down by the enemy range. Ungrim is more or less fine, but most of our slayers are just hovering on the arrays edge. Alright, Black Orcs versus regular Slayers out here. Pretty nice matchup. While Doom Seekers might have been able to rip the Black Orcs apart, the regular Slayers would have struggled a little bit more. But fortunately, this unit of Black Orcs did take plenty of damage from our range and from other units on the front line before reaching these guys. And we should be able to overrun them with the Slayer Tide. Fight tide with tide, folks. If the enemy brings a green tide or an undead tide, well, we'll have our hammer tide and our slayer tide to counteract them. There we go. With that, it looks like the tide will break and the battle will be ours. Oh, looks like some gobos are unbreakable here. Oh, well, good for them. Good for them, but at least we get to watch them fight the Slayers a little bit more. Interesting to see Night Goblins be unbreakable and fight to the last when Black Orcs are running, but hey, unlike the, what was it, the previous episode? Remember that one battle with Grimgor on the field where the Black Orcs fought to the last despite not being unbreakable, down to the very, very last unit, even though they were very much breakable. That was interesting. That was interesting. Anyway, Ungrim trying his darndest to catch this goblin, these two goblin great shamans, but it does look like he should manage to reach him. And yeah, there we go. He'll hack them apart. He was too busy fighting other things, so it's nice that he'll actually get a few Lord kills to his name as well. There we go. All right, a little bit more chasing to do, possibly a lot more chasing to do, but the rest of it can be done off screen. Ooh, there we go. From the Tide of the Dead to the Green Tide, to many a Slayer met their end at the hands of the greenskins here. We did manage to pull through at the end, but it was a Pyrrhic victory, and a very nice one at that. I'm sure Ungrim and all the Slayer cultists are very happy. Now, what the heck happened here? 30,000 damage and 520 kills, massively outdoing everything else, doubling or even tripling, or in the case of some of the Slayers, like what happened here? How did you do this? Did the Rune of Battle really make such a huge difference? It only gives melee attack +6 and bonus versus infantry +8. I guess considering Slayers are normally, well, these Slayers are anti-large. Or maybe this unit was stuck fighting a bunch of goblins and thereby was able to just mince their way through them because they have, they're weak and they have larger unit numbers. So, very nice. Very nice indeed. Ungrim did okay, but he didn't have a lot of enemy lords to do, although he did stand against those Ragnarok, so at least there was that. Anyway, we are in our own territory, but we're heavily damaged enough, I think, that we may want to nonetheless attract replacements to make sure that we heal up and can still keep moving, because we'll still need to auto-resolve the rest of the, or the remnants of those armies down before heading to Amble Peak and back around to Valley of Horns. And, oh, I wasn't expecting that. The three armies moved together, eh? Huh, go figure. Go figure. Competent Protector, Dauntless, Master Mason, Ambush for... Belagar. You're never gonna get the ambush, are you? Well, we can... Ooh. Grag the Slaughter. Okay, fine. We can ambush one more time with Belagar, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, I assume Scrag will move to Miragliano. We kill Scrag and then go from Tobaru instead, where we can attack with two armies rather than one. If this is the way that it wants to play this, then I guess that's the way we'll have to play. And hello! Oh, the Silver Pinnacle thing completed. Reclaimed hold. Unlocks the landmark. Okay, all it does is unlock the landmark, yeah? So all of that to get an 800 gold per turn immunity to vampiric attrition, which is pretty much irrelevant to our faction, and hero action success chance. Like, hero action success chance is quite nice if you like to use agent spam. Personally, I don't. It's annoying enough dealing with the AI's agent spam, so yeah. Plus, I mean, yeah, you can wound heroes and you can assault units and garrisons, but then that makes the battle less fun, so I'm not sure. Only in emergencies, though I suppose, funnily enough, this particular situation might have actually warranted such a thing. Either way, Reclaimed Hold will be built. I'm gonna give this a read. Be it written that the Council of Kings bore witness to this grudge, declared posthumously on behalf of the deceased king, Bori Silverfoot of Karaz Bryn, against Neferata and her Uskul thralls. The former citadel at the Umgi named Silver Pinnacle was once a great stronghold, taken in a single attack by the Queen of Evil and her loathsome forces. King Bori and many Dawi perished that night. Their deaths can only be avenged by returning the citadel to Dawi hands and sealing away Neferata's evil once and for all. Alright, well, lovely. Considering we didn't actually kill Neferata I don't know whether her evil is sealed for good, but nonetheless. Guildmaster, lovely. Alright, some very, very nice fights of this particular episode, but alas, folks, I do believe we've run out of time, and I'm going to have to call the episode here. Next time, by the looks of it, we may be able to knock out Grimgor's faction for good, which completes another one of our main objectives, and then probably, if possible, knock these armies out for good as well, maybe with a little help from this army as well, and our additional Frostworms, and that should certainly help hold them back. Especially as they don't have as many terror guys this time around, the more ghost units, which are also kind of an issue for us. So them and Grimgor, we might be able to get a fight with one of Valkyria's armies, which would be pretty nice as well. And the retrofits will certainly continue. And we still have to figure out Skaven Blight as well. Once again, once we've linked up sufficiently with Karazakarak, we will confederate them. I just don't want to confederate them while we need additional armies to hold this front, as it's too much. The confederation of this front is fine because we can use these armies for that purpose, but I mean, consider the supply lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think there's a 7th army running around somewhere that I missed. Anyway, we'll be like at minus, I don't know, but it'll be ridiculous, like minus 50k, minus 80k. It's too much supply lines plus expensive armies. But they have a fairly wide front and are fighting Clan Moors at the same time as the Bloody Hands, so the link-up, I think, is necessary. Anyway, more Dowie to come, so stay tuned. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.